Okay, I want to talk to you today about self-control. I know that's not a very fun topic, but it's something that's very important. So here's the basic idea, like you see some goal in the future, like graduation, maybe, or getting a good job or going to college, something like that, maybe in the distant future. Or maybe it's not even that far in the future. Maybe it's just getting an LTI, securing an LTI, right? Maybe that's just a couple weeks in the future or a month. But then when I'm sitting here at my Chromebook, my computer, and I'm like, okay, so I need to search for an internship, or I need to work on my paper, my essay that I'm supposed to be working on. Suddenly there's all kinds of things that are, all these pressures and stuff that are kind of vying for my attention, and I'm so tempted to get off task, right? Maybe it's Netflix or YouTube that I want to watch, or some video game I want to play, or maybe it's my neighbor I just want to chat with. There's all kinds of things that can go on. So, and it's not that I don't value that graduation goal, it's just that it's so far off, right? I need to somehow delay that gratification, right? And how do I do that? So I just want to show you there's this really cool little experiment that was done by researchers at Stanford University called the marshmallow test. It was done with a ton of little kids. What they did is they gave the kid a marshmallow, sat him in a room all alone, and they said, okay, I'm going to give you this marshmallow, and I'm going to go away, and I'm going to come back later. And if you don't eat it, then when I come back, I'm going to give you another marshmallow. So very clearly, the value for them would be greater in the future, right? So it was in their best interest to wait to eat the marshmallow. Well, a lot of the kids couldn't wait that long. So the researcher left the room, and the kids would just eat the marshmallow. It was really interesting, too, the researchers said, to see the different strategies that the kids tried to use. You can see in this picture here, this little guy is just really trying to resist eating that marshmallow. Some of them were more able than others to do this. They actually said that this was kind of a personality trait, that some of the kids were just better able to control themselves. But I think, for today, what I want to talk about is the fact that there are some strategies that we can use to help ourselves with this. One of the strategies that worked for some of the kids was imagining that the marshmallow was something else. So if they imagined that the marshmallow was like a fluffy little cloud, this tended to help them get through it. And this reminds me of what we're talking about with mindfulness, because one of the strategies that I use and that I learned from the book Mindfulness that we've talked about here, Mindfulness in 8-Week Course, is that what mindfulness, one of the strategies is I imagine my thoughts. This is called the Thoughts as Sounds meditation. And I'll just sit quietly, I'll close my eyes, and I'll listen to sounds around me. And I'll try to think about those sounds. I'll try not to interpret them. Just really focus on exactly what's happening in the sound and where it is. And even the empty space between sounds, the silence between sounds. And then as thoughts arise in my mind, I'll think about those thoughts as just sounds. Like sometimes there'll be this huge mess of thoughts that comes into my mind, some kind of anxious sequence of thoughts that just carries my mind away. And when that's over, I'll think about it as just like that was just a really loud noise that just went like that in my mind, right? That's all it was. It was just a noise, like a random noise. And I think about my thoughts like that. And you can think about them as, other people say that when you're meditating, you think about thoughts as like clouds drifting by in the sky. And I guess that's why that analogy with the marshmallow, made me think of that. I don't think they would have had as hard a time with mushrooms in this experiment. But think about the marshmallow as a cloud. And I wonder if you could try this. Next time you're doing Alex, or in Project Block you're working on a research paper or something like that, doing some research, or you're doing some writing on your personal reflection papers, and these distracting thoughts come by, like maybe it's a thought like, oh, I wonder what my favorite YouTube channel has posted lately, or I wonder if I have any texts or any messages. Just watch that thought. Don't try to fight it, but just watch it float by. like a cloud in the sky or like a noise that someone's making in the hallway. Just let it float by. So that's one strategy, is just imagining that temptation as something else. You could do the same thing with food. Maybe it is food that's distracting you. Maybe there's a granola bar on the table and that's distracting you, and you imagine that as something else. But think about your thoughts as sounds. Let's try that. The second strategy is having a definite plan for what you're going to do in response to distractions. Here's a big one. Maybe you're sitting next to a distracting person, and this person likes to kind of impulsively just say things that are unrelated or bring up topics for discussion or make jokes or something like that. You probably know this is going to happen during the next project block or Alex session or whatever. So how about make a plan? When Harry turns to me and makes a joke or says, hey, do you remember this, or what are you doing this weekend, or whatever, when he says that, I'm going to say, sorry, Harry, I'm working right now. Let's talk later. Right? So research has shown that this kind of thing where you have a plan for, if this happens, then I'm going to do this, that actually works. So make a plan now for what you're going to do in project block when somebody says something distracting. And maybe it's not somebody saying something. Maybe it's when I have the thought of looking up something on YouTube, or going to this video channel, or whatever it is you do online, or checking my text, checking my phone. When I have that thought, I'm going to do what? I'm going to tell myself, no, you can do that in 10 minutes when the timer's off. You can do that at the end of project block. Okay, I'll do that at the end. All right. Another interesting technique you can use is actually using something that's distracting, like your cell phone, your computer, whatever, in your meditation practice. So in your mindfulness practice, actually do a meditation. So maybe my phone is the most distracting thing. So I say, okay, on the weekend or at night or whatever, I'm going to spend 10 minutes just doing some mindfulness meditation with my phone right in front of me. And I'm going to leave the sound on so that it's clicking away and notifying me. And then as it's clicking, as it's notifying, I'm going to see those sounds as just random sounds in the environment. Or maybe I'm even going to stare at the blank screen and just meditate on the form of the screen. Okay, this kind of thing can actually work. So those are just a few techniques that you can use. Also think about how you can build new habits. We've talked about habits before, and I think I'll save that for the next video about how we can work to establish new habits by and replace old ones by focusing on the value that the reward that habit is giving us, and the cues and so forth. Okay, but think about these techniques for dealing with distraction and try them today.